The smell of damp and mold struck his nostrils. Alex woke up in an empty concrete room. His head was pounding. The only light came from a single fluorescent bulb hanging from the ceiling, flickering constantly, buzzing like an insect. He tried to remember the party last night, the free cocktail from the friendly stranger, an intentional shoulder bump, and then darkness. He checked his pockets. Wallet, passport, phone, all gone. The heavy steel door swung open. A large man walked in, followed by two others in black security uniforms. The large man said nothing. He just looked at Alex with lifeless eyes, eyes that had seen everything and no longer cared about anything. He threw a set of frayed clothes and a pair of foam slippers onto the floor. Put them on, his voice was hoarse. Time to work. Alex tried to protest. He said he was a tourist. He said this was a mistake. A guard stepped forward, as fast as lightning. He didn't punch. He used a small stun baton, jabbing it directly into Alex's ribs. A high-voltage current shot through his body. He convulsed, collapsing to the floor, mouth open but unable to scream. Drool spilled from his lips. The man crouched down, whispering. There are no mistakes here, only work. They dragged him away. The corridor was long and filthy, also lit only by dying bulbs. The sound of typing, hundreds of keystrokes coming from every door they passed. They blended together, forming a symphony of despair. They brought him into a huge hall. Hundreds of people were crammed in front of old computers. The air was thick with the smell of body odor, cheap cigarettes, and fear. The manager pointed to an empty chair. This is your spot. This is the script. He threw a stack of papers on the desk. You'll pretend to be technical support. Get their credit card information. You have 16 hours. Meet the quota. You eat. Miss it, and you'll find out. Alex looked at the screen. The first call. A man picked up. Alex started reading the script, his voice trembling. The man on the other end swore and hung up. Immediately, a guard behind him jabbed the stun baton into his neck. Alex slumped over the desk. Next call, the guard ordered. The second call. The third. All failures. The pain from the shocks was making him numb. He knew he couldn't take much more. The fourth call. A frail voice answered. It was an old woman. Alex took a breath, starting the script again. He said her bank account had been locked. He heard her panic. He heard her sobbing as she read him the credit card numbers. He repeated each number mechanically. When the call ended, he sat motionless. He had met the quota. The guard placed a tray of moldy rice on his desk. Alex stared at it. He lowered his head and dry-heaved onto the floor. He had earned his meal. A few days passed. He was on another call, this time a middle-aged man. The man roared with anger through the phone, threatening to call the police. Alex didn't blink. His voice was flat, emotionless. He calmly read the next line from the script. The more the man yelled, the calmer Alex became. He cursed Alex, calling him an inhuman piece of scum. Alex agreed. Then he hung up and dialed the next number. The manager had been watching the whole time. He walked over, clapping Alex on the shoulder. You've got skill, he said. New job for you. Follow me. Alex didn't know if this was good news or bad news. They didn't take him back to the hall. They took him down to the basement. The deeper they went, the colder the air became. They stopped in front of a thick steel door. The manager unlocked it. Inside was a small room, terrifyingly quiet. There was only a large desk with dozens of surveillance monitors. A skinny man was sitting there, glued to the screens. The manager shoved the man out of the chair. Get out. Then he turned to Alex. This is your new job. You are the observer. Alex looked at the monitors. They showed feeds from every corner of the complex. The scam hall, the corridors, the cafeteria, and the small rooms. The torture rooms. The manager pointed to a specific screen. You watch. You log. Anyone showing signs of resistance. Anyone working slow. Anyone trying to talk to the person next to them. You report it. He handed Alex a walkie-talkie. If you miss one, you take the punishment for them. Understand? Alex nodded, his throat dry. He sat in the chair. The scamming job had killed his soul. This job forced him to watch the souls of others being killed. He watched. The silence in the room was broken only by the electronic hum of the equipment. He saw a young woman in row C sneak a piece of bread into her pocket. She looked around, terrified. Alex was hungry too. He looked at the girl on the screen. He looked at the guard standing like a statue in the corner of the surveillance room, right behind him. Alex took a deep breath. He picked up the walkie-talkie. His voice was hoarse. Row C, seat 14. Food violation. 2 guards appeared on the screen instantly. They dragged the girl away. Alex closed his eyes. He was part of the machine. A machine for destroying people. And now he wanted to know how far the machine went. He wanted to see the operator. He started shifting his attention to the high-level surveillance cameras, the administrative areas he had previously ignored. He scanned past meeting rooms, storage areas. He stopped on a camera, recording the outside of the senior manager's office. The man was with a visitor. Both looked pleased. They were laughing. Curious, Alex activated the digital zoom. A camera pushed in, through the glass window. The manager was showing something on his computer. He turned the monitor toward the visitor. Alex's heart stopped. On that screen was his passport photo. He held his breath, staring. The manager clicked. Another file opened. Status processed. The manager clicked again. A photo appeared. A charred, unrecognizable body lying in an alley. The manager zoomed in on the corpse's hand. It was wearing Alex's ring. Another photo. A sealed urn ready for shipment. He hadn't just been kidnapped. To the outside world, he was dead. He didn't exist. He let go of the mouse. The entire room fell silent, leaving only the sound of his own heartbeat. The walkie-talkie on the desk hissed to life, the manager's familiar voice crackling. "Hey, observer, you falling asleep? We got a hangar in Block B. You didn't report it. You know the rules." The surveillance room door burst open. The manager stood towering in the doorway. His eyes weren't angry. They were cold. "You missed a priority alert," he said. "And you accessed cameras outside your designated monitoring zone. 2 violations." Alex tried to speak, but his throat was tight. He still saw the image of the urn in his mind. The manager stepped forward, not looking at Alex, but at the control panel. He saw the indicator light for the administrative cameras still blinking. He turned it off. "You're curious," he said, his voice almost calm. "Curiosity is a disease here, and we have to cure it." He grabbed Alex by the hair, yanking him from the chair. The guard with him pressed the stun baton into Alex's back, pushing him into the corridor. They didn't go up. They went deeper. "Block B," the manager said. "The place you'll answer for your mistake." Block B was cold. The air was thick with the smell of antiseptic and feces. It was the medical area, or rather, where humans were maintained like machines. They stopped in front of a room. A weak moan came from inside. The manager opened the door. The man who had tried to hang himself was curled up on the floor. The rope had been cut. He was alive, but his throat made gurgling sounds. A doctor, in a blood-stained apron, stood beside him. "He damaged his vocal cords," the doctor said. "Can't talk anymore, but he can still work." The manager nodded, then turned to Alex. "You saw him on the camera. You saw him prepare the rope. You chose not to report it," Alex stammered. "No, I didn't see. I was watching." "You were watching what you weren't allowed to watch," the manager cut him off. "Because you were curious," he almost succeeded. You failed your only job. Now, clean it up. The manager threw Alex a mop and a bucket. Clean up the filth he made. You'll stay here until the floor is spotless. The man on the floor moaned, reaching a hand toward Alex. A silent plea. The doctor casually injected a sedative into his neck. The moaning stopped. Alex stood frozen. He was a ghost. He was dead. And this was his hell. He started to mop. The stench was overpowering, making him gag, but he didn't vomit. He just mopped. The numbness he had learned in the scam room had now become his only defense mechanism. He mopped the floor around the unconscious man, as if he were just another piece of furniture. His family was mourning an urn of ashes, and he was mopping a stranger's waste in Block B. A dry laugh almost escaped his throat. It was absurd. All of it was absurd. When he finished, the floor was clean. The manager returned. He inspected the floor. He was satisfied. Good. You learn fast. They didn't take him back to the surveillance room. They took him somewhere else. A small office, but much cleaner. Sitting behind the desk was the senior manager. The man Alex had seen on the camera. He was smiling. The curious observer, he said. You watched an interesting show, didn't you? Alex didn't answer. He knew lying was pointless, and telling the truth was suicide. He just stood still. A senior manager laughed. I like you. Your manager says you have a special ability. You accept reality quickly. You don't feel. You just work. That makes you useful. He stood up, walking around Alex. I don't know what you saw on my camera, and I don't care. What I care about is that you've realized a truth. A truth most of the people here can never accept. Alex looked up. What truth? That you no longer matter, the senior manager whispered. You don't exist. When you accept that, you become very useful. Alex felt a chill run down his spine. This man knew. He didn't know what Alex saw, but he knew Alex's mental state. Your job as observer is over, he continued. You'll work directly for me. We have internal problems in this complex. The slaves sometimes get stupid ideas. They plot. They try to contact the outside. They are rats in the walls. He opened a drawer, taking out a small dagger. He placed it on the desk, turning the point toward Alex. You will be the rat trap. You're no longer the observer on the screen. You'll observe them from the inside. You will live with them, eat with them, and report directly to me. I'm still a prisoner, Alex said. Of course, the manager smiled. But you'll be a prisoner with privileges. It's either this, or you go back to Block B, not to mop this time. This time, you'll be the one on the floor. Alex looked at the dagger. He looked at the manager. He had nothing left to lose. His family thought he was dead. He was a ghost, and ghosts don't have morals. What do I have to do? Alex asked. The manager smiled. That's more like it. Starting tonight, you'll be moved to the communal barracks. There's a rumor about a group trying to map the ventilation system. You will find the leader. He pushed the dagger toward Alex. This is for self-defense, or to build trust, your choice. Alex took the dagger. The hilt was cold. That night, he was taken to Dorm D, a massive stinking dormitory, crammed with hundreds of bunk beds. The sound of whimpering, whispers, snoring. The guard shoved him inside and locked the door. Alex stood in the darkness, gripping the dagger. He was no longer Alex. He was the observer. But this time, there was no screen separating him from the horror. Dorm D was a raw hell. Hundreds of people were crammed into a space that should have held only a few dozen. The air was thick with the smell of sweat, sickness, and despair. There was no privacy, no silence. Only the groans, the coughs, and the whispers of the broken. Alex, clutching the dagger in his pocket, found an empty bunk in the corner. He lay down. He didn't sleep. He watched. His job had begun. For the first 2 days, he just observed. He used his skills from the surveillance room. He looked for patterns. Who talked to whom? Who shared food? Who sat alone? Most of the prisoners were broken. They moved like ghosts, just following orders, their eyes empty. But a few were not. He noticed a woman. She was young, thin, but her eyes weren't empty. Her eyes burned. She didn't talk to anyone, but she was always watching. She counted the guards when they changed shifts. She stared at the ventilation ducts in the ceiling. Alex knew this was his target. He called her Alara in his head. He needed a way in. The opportunity came during the meal on the 3rd day. A large prisoner, a bully, knocked Alara's tray to the floor. "Your food is my food," he snarled. Alara said nothing. She just looked at him, her eyes flashing. The bully raised his hand. Alex moved. He didn't pull the knife. He just stepped between them. "Get out of the way," the bully roared. Alex looked him dead in the eye. His voice was cold and emotionless, exactly like the manager who had spoken to him. "The senior manager wants her left alone. You touch her, you touch me, and you touch him." It was a blatant lie. A gamble. But fear of the hierarchy was the only currency here. The bully froze. He looked at Alex, trying to gauge if this newcomer really had protection. The absolute indifference in Alex's eyes made him falter. He muttered a curse and walked away. Alex turned to Alara. She didn't thank him. She looked at him with even more hatred than she had for the bully. "I don't need protection from a manager's hunting dog," she hissed. She was right. He had just confirmed for everyone in Dorm D who he was. He was the informant. He was completely isolated. The other prisoners avoided him like the plague. He couldn't get near Alara. The plan had failed. That night, as he was pretending to sleep, an older man in the next bunk whispered to him. "Kid," he said, his voice raspy, "you don't seem like them. You have a purpose." Alex opened his eyes. This was Milo, a man Alex had dismissed as too weak, too harmless. "What do you want?" Alex whispered, his hand tightening on the dagger. "I saw you watching Alara. That girl is foolish. She thinks she can get out of here," Milo said. "Her and her group. They think they can go through the kitchen, sneak into the food storage, and hide in the garbage truck." Alex's heart pounded. This was it. It was too easy. It was a trap. "Why are you telling me?" "Because I'm old," Milo said. "I don't want to see that girl die. They'll be caught. The plan is stupid. But you seem to have connections. You can tell the management. Get them to stop before they get themselves killed." Milo coughed violently. "Tell your manager. Save their lives." Alex lay still in the dark, thinking. Was Milo telling the truth? Or was this a test? The senior manager wanted information. Alex was tasked with finding the planners. Milo had just handed it to him. If he didn't report it, and the escape happened, he would die. If he did report it, he would save their lives, as Milo said. He would prove his loyalty to the manager. The next morning, Alex found a way to meet the guard in Dorm D. He said he had urgent information for the senior manager. A few hours later, he was brought to the office. "The kitchen. Tonight," Alex said. They planned to escape through the food storage in the garbage truck. "Alara is one of them," the senior manager smiled. "Good, very good." That night, Dorm D did not sleep. At midnight, the alarms blared. But not from Dorm D. They came from the kitchen area. Screams, the clash of metal, the sizzle of stun batons. The jarring sounds echoed through the concrete walls and then fell silent. The entire dorm was quiet. No one slept. Neither did Alex. The next morning, at roll call, the air was so heavy it was hard to breathe. Alex saw Alara standing in the corner. Next to her was Milo. The old man no longer looked weak. He looked directly at Alex. His gaze wasn't one of gratitude. It was judgment. Milo walked up to Alex, his voice a whisper only he could hear. 5 people. 5 innocent kitchen workers. They were taken to Block B, all because of you. Alex realized it all. It was a test. Milo had orchestrated everything. He had sacrificed 5 innocent people just to confirm if Alex was the informant. And Alex had passed the test. He had proven he was exactly the monster they thought he was. He had personally condemned 5 people. He let go of the dagger in his pocket. His hand was ice cold. He wasn't a ghost anymore. He was a murderer. Milo's gaze was a knife. It pierced the shell of numbness Alex had carefully constructed. 5 people. 5 lives ruined because of him. He turned away, trying to ignore the sight of Alara, who was looking at him with pure disgust. He returned to his bunk. He had proven his value to the senior manager. He was an effective tool, but he had also confirmed himself as an enemy to every other prisoner. He was isolated in a sea of hostility. That night, he was summoned again to the senior manager's office. The man looked pleased. "Good news," he said, pushing an expensive glass of liquor toward Alex. Alex didn't move. Their test in the kitchen confirmed 2 things. 1, you are the spy. And 2, they are protecting something else, a more important plan. The manager stood up, pointing to a map of the complex on the wall. He threw a stack of photos onto the desk. It was Alara and Milo. "My guess is it's them. And if the real plan isn't the kitchen," he tapped a red dot on the map, "then it can only be the server room, the heart of the entire operation. They aren't trying to escape. They're trying to destroy the data." The manager turned back to Alex, his eyes sharp. "I want you to go to them. You're exposed. No need to hide it. Tell them you regret it. You want to atone for the 5 lives in the kitchen. You want to join their plan to destroy the server room." "They'll never believe me," Alex said. "Alara won't. That girl is too emotional." "But Milo will," the manager said. "The old man is pragmatic. He knows he needs someone who can access the controls. Tell them you can disable the internal alarms." Alex was silent, waiting for the rest of the trap. "My team and I will be waiting outside the server room," the manager confirmed. "When you and they go inside, I'll activate the magnetic locks, trapping you all. And I'll handle it. You'll be spared." They won't. It was a death sentence for Alara and Milo, but Alex had no other choice. He nodded. The next day, Alex found Milo at mealtime. He sat across from him. Alara stood nearby, clutching a sharpened piece of metal. "Get lost, dog," she hissed. "Let him speak," Milo said calmly, not looking up from his tray. "He's figured out the server room," Alex said flatly. "He doesn't know about the vents. He thinks we just want to destroy the data. He wants me to lure you inside, and then he'll lock the door from the outside." Alex looked straight at Milo. 5 people. I owe you. He wants a trap. I'll give him one." Milo stopped eating. He looked up, studying Alex for a long moment. "What are you planning?" "You need to start a riot," Alex said, his voice dry. "A diversion big enough to pull most of the guards away from the server room corridor. Alara and I will go." "Why Alara?" Milo asked. "Because she's the only one who knows the vents." "My plan needs her," Alex lied. "No," Alara protested. "I'll go," Milo interrupted. "You're young." Alex looked at Alara. "Do you want revenge, or do you want to live?" "Milo can't fit through those ducts." "Only you can." Alara looked at Milo, then at Alex. She nodded. "What's the plan?" "When we get inside," Alex said, "the manager will lock the door. That's what he wants. But I'm going to trigger the gas suppression system. It seals the room from the inside. He won't be able to get in. We'll have masks. We'll escape through the vents." That night, the riot alarms went off in Dorm D. Milo had kept his promise. Screams, the clang of metal, and the snap of stun batons echoed. Alex and Ilara moved through the shadows, running for the server room. They reached the door. It was unlocked, just as the manager had promised. They burst inside. Immediately, a loud clang echoed. The steel door slammed shut. The lights in the room turned red. A voice came over the loudspeaker. "Nowhere to run, Alex? Did you think I didn't know? You did a great job." The senior manager's voice was dripping with smugness. "Thanks for herding the rats into the cage." Alex ignored him. He looked at Ilara. "Go." He pointed to a large ventilation grate in the ceiling, right above the main server racks. Ilara immediately started climbing. Alex ran to the emergency console. "What are you doing, Alex?" The manager laughed over the speaker. "Waiting for your reward?" "No," Alex said. "Paying a debt." He slammed the red emergency button. Gas suppression system activated. A loud hiss filled the air. Additional armored plates slammed down, sealing the room. The main door began to frost over from the pressure. "What are you doing?" The manager's voice went from smug to panicked. "Open the door." "Open it. You're destroying the servers." Frantic pounding began on the other side of the door. Ilara was at the vent. "Alex, hurry. Where are the masks?" Alex looked up at her. He looked at the emergency cabinet on the wall. There were 2 masks. "I didn't know you were lying," Ilara yelled. "You said you knew the plan." "I did lie," Alex said, the hiss of the gas growing louder. "I needed you to believe there was a way out for both of us." He ran to the cabinet, smashed the glass, and pulled out 1 mask. "Only one is working," he lied again. He threw it up to Ilara. "I'm already dead. Make sure you live No." Ilara screamed, but her voice was already choking. 5 people, Alex said. He didn't take a mask for himself. The cold, inert gas began to fill the room. Ilara looked at him one last second. Then she disappeared into the darkness of the duct. Alex sat down, his back against the server wall. The frantic pounding from the manager and his guards grew weaker as they realized the room was sealed and the air was running out. Alex closed his eyes. He heard a tapping. Thump, thump, a dry sound. Like the knocking on the surveillance room door. Or maybe the sound of ashes falling. Finally, everything went silent. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoy this type of content, please hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next video.